Welcome Yogesh ji, welcome Kirti Rajput, Dikshit, Karan, Karan and all the members of Loka. A warm welcome to all of you. So today in Ask Your Experts series, we are taking up a topic which is burning right now. So this is the right time to address it with the expert. And the topic is COVID-19 and kids. So without any more delay, let me welcome our expert for the day. Just give me a second. So I have tried and tried to take up all the queries which I have got over these many days regarding the topic. Hello, doctor. Good evening.
Hi, how are you? How are you? Good
I'm
evening.
good.
Good
How are
evening.
you doing?
Good, good. So far, so good.
Thank you so
Surviving.
much for moving time for us on a Sunday
No
evening.
problem. Yeah, my wife's standing out. No, just kidding.
I
Yeah,
can understand. I can understand.
yeah. No
So,
problem. No problem.
so I was just telling that we are going to address as many queries we have got in
Right,
today's
right,
session, and they can
right.
also pour in more queries in the live session. So, as and when we get the queries, we will address those
Sure,
also as the time
sure,
permits.
sure. Yeah,
So, doctor, as we know, the topic is COVID-19 and kids.
yeah.
Now, when we talk about COVID-19, the buzzword of the 2020, 2021 has been immunity. The moment
Right,
we
right,
have got this entire pandemic, we've been exposed to
right,
it, the buzzword has become immunity. And when it
right,
comes to
right,
children, I would like you to throw some light on when does a child's immunity develop, what are the
right,
major milestones in that, and what are the
right.
factors which affects the immunity development of a kid?
So that's a very good question, Zarna. See, the thing is, in layman terms, what immunity is health. In medical terms, what immunity is very different. A lot of patients come to us and say, Doc, my child's immunity is very low. My child has very poor immunity. Now, in a medical profession, immunity is a very technical term used for specific processes of the body. Your white
Right.
blood cells, your defense mechanisms, your antibodies, your lymphocytes. And when there is a medical deficiency of immunity, SCID, severe combined immunodeficiency, and a lot of other syndromes where there is a genetic defect in the child's body as to produce less antibodies. Those, in general, are defined as immunodeficiency states, which are a little bit of an issue because, okay, let's start with the good news about them. The good news is that they're very, very, very rare. So they don't come around. Genuine immunodeficiencies in children requiring very, very, very keen approach, excessive preventive protocols, hygiene protocols are very rare. And those children don't grow well, those children don't develop well, those children get life threatening infections like pneumonias, liver abscesses, pus from the ears, bone infections, osteomyelitis again and again. So, those are a completely different category which are very difficult to manage, not easy to manage, and we are a little worried about those children. But what the overall layman term of immunity is very different. Everyone blames immunity, coins the word immunity for the child depending on their size and structure, which I want to stop parents from doing. Every parent labels or coins immunity for their child depending on how often they fall sick, which I want to
Yes.
stop the parents from doing. Every parent labels or coins immunity for their child depending on how less he or she eats. He's not eating anything, his immunity is poor. Absolutely no connection. I would try and tell every parent that don't use the word immunity so easily and just throw it
Easily.
around. Yeah, yeah, because what they mean is health. There's a big difference between health and immunity. What we define as a child of good health is a child who's active and falls less sick. Now, by definition of sick, we mean life-threatening or admission requiring sicknesses. Those are sickness. Common cold is not a sickness in our city. Recurrent stomach infections with mind throwing up here and there is not a sickness in our city. On and off changes of weather causing changes of breathing patterns, coughing, few episodes of fever for 2 to 3 days. If you do blood reports, nothing comes up, is not immunity. So don't keep telling everyone my child has very poor immunity because he or she is not growing well. Children don't grow that much. Let me break the myth. I'll just tell you a few specific milestones. Every child triples their birth weight at 1 year of age. So if you see an average birth weight of 2.5 to 3 kilos at birth, we expect 7.5 to 9 kilos by 1 year of age. Very standard. But after that, every child lands up putting on only 1 kilo a year. 1 kilo a year. So you're looking at 9 to 10 kilos by 1 year, 10 to 11 kilos by 2 years, 12 to 13 kilos by 3 years, by 15 years, by 5 years, a lot of kids only 15 kilos, which is absolutely normal. So a lot of parents are obsessed on continuously checking their child's weight. We say only one thing. If your child runs and you can't catch your child has excellent immunity. If your child gets angry and hits you and bites you and it hurts, your child has enough immunity to do all that. So it is the energy level, it is the overall health, which is the bigger picture, not their structure. Their structure is completely dependent on your structure. That is the mother and father structure as a child. You will ask very commonly when you ask the parent, why don't you go ask your mother and ask, okay, how were you when you were your child's age? And you know what they'll say? That he was exactly like this only. Now, if he or she was exactly like this as a child, you can't have Amir Khan's kid become as tall as Amitabh Bachchan. So it is genetics that become a very big role. So that is not health.
Right.
And now they say, but now I'm very big and now there's nothing to do with as a child. And we tell them very often that your child is lanky, but if your pediatrician has given him a clean bill of health, he has had all his milestones on time, mentally very sharp, listens to you, follows instructions, eats when he wants, sleeps when she wants, fine. Don't run behind them. Don't trouble them with food and they won't trouble you with sickness. It's a very simple thing. So I want all the parents not to measure their child's health with their neighbor's child, with their cousin's child. Your pediatrician will give you good guidance as per what it is that your child looks and feels like as an individual, not as a comparison. There is not a race. This is not a test that every parent needs to be scored on. So I want every parent to just relax and don't throw this word immunity very easily, very frivolously.
Right. Oh, that was very much, I think, very layman's language, very easy for people to understand, I'm sure.
Correct.
Now, when it comes to, you just said that immunity is not about how often your child falls sick or how often
Correct.
your child acquires any infections and how easily he falls prey to these things. So now talking about COVID-19. So you are saying that your child's immune system has not that much of an influence over the infection development in the kid. Is that so?
So I would say how well your child, see, the fact that we are from decent families, the fact that our children are growing well, they are mentally at par, besides certain individual vitamin deficiencies, which may have a keen role in preventing, reducing the severity of the COVID, none of them will protect the COVID virus from going in. That's impossible. I have a lot of parents that tell me I've been giving my child vitamin D, vitamin C and zinc for a year, nothing will happen, he can go down. No, that's not going to work. If your child, so, but that is a belief out there. There is so much we are taking.
These things. This is the main
Right. So that has nothing to do with the COVID virus entering the body. But if your child has adequate amount of vitamin D, zinc and vitamin C in him or her, it will definitely help in faster recovery from the virus. It will definitely help in reducing the symptoms of the virus. So, right. And what has happened is over the last maybe 15 months, kids have not been stepping out much. So the sunlight exposure is low. So from the health point of view, vitamin D are drastically low in every child. Right. So doing those constant courses of vitamin D will really help. And vitamin D is a miracle hormone. It is actually, researched enough for me to say very confidently that it has brilliant immunity properties, it has brilliant anti-cancer properties, it has brilliant mucosal development. So vitamin D is a magic drug. So make sure your child's vitamin D levels stay high. When it comes to vitamin C and zinc, it only plays a role when your child has the virus. So loading your child up with extra vitamin C and zinc, I don't think is much of a prevention. It will definitely help during the infection, but don't be
The recovery
obsessed
stage.
with.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what
Another thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you go on. Sorry. Tell me.
No, the overall, I think what we've learned from research is kids that sleep well have excellent immunity. People underestimate the value of sleep in children. If the child is not getting adequate, good quality sleep, their immunity is going to be very, very low. And that's when they catch infections quickly. So rather than what to give, you should remember what not to give. So don't let your child sleep improperly, which I'll visit again, and give him a well-rounded diet, which you're the best judge of, which covers every department, carbs, protein, well-rounded, decent diets, not too much of carbs and too much of fats and very less protein, not too much of proteins and less carbs. Carbs are equally important, and a well-rounded diet that contains vitamins and minerals as well. When it comes to sleep, we want every child to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Now people fail to realize that when the child needs to be put at bed at 10 o'clock, if the brain is stimulated for the next 2 hours, the body may sleep, but the mind is active for another 3 hours, reducing the amount of deep sleep, which is the quality sleep. So we give strict instructions to every parent that 2 hours before sleeping, shut all the digital gadgets away. No screen time 2 hours before sleeping. They are watching TVs, they're playing video game, they're on their phone till 11:30, 11:45 they hit the bed. The body may sleep by 12, the mind is awake till 3 in the morning. Thinking the body is asleep from 11, the parent wakes them up at 7 o'clock. So the mind's got only 4 hours of sleep. So there is no enough rest to the mind for it to secrete the good hormones to stimulate their immunity. So sleep and good diet is fantastic. Well-rounded diet and adequate sleep is the need of the hour. And yes, a little more stress on physical exercise.
You've answered my next two questions also. I was about to come to the sleep factor actually.
Right,
And I
right.
want to tell you, in the last full 1 year,
Hmm.
initially people took it as a vacation actually when the lockdown started, when so
Right,
people
right.
got quality time with their family at home. There were a lot of incidences, at least in my clients' circle, that people would sleep at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. They would play games in the night. They would take heavy dinner at the night, or parents would drink. So now this
Right.
has completely changed the schedule of the kids for some reason, because there was
Right.
online
Right.
schooling again. No, not so much of that, the school
They
burden
could
and
they could attend school in a night dress. Yeah, so it was just wake up
exactly,
and go in
yeah.
front of the computer.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the discipline was out of the
Was
window
gone.
completely. And
Right,
that
right, right.
also is something which I think which needs to be like, implied and by the parents themselves, that kids will follow them. So if they
Yeah. So
are not disciplined there in the sleep department, especially if they are not sleeping
right,
on
right.
time, the kids are not going to follow that. So that's
No, the
one thing which
kids.
is very
Yeah,
important.
the kids'
Yeah.
behavior. The kids' behavior is a mirror image of the parents' behavior. So they can't. They have to practice what they preach. They can't put their kids in bed by 10:30, 11, be up till 3, and then next
Right.
day morning they are half sleepy and awake. So they have to. They have to teach. They have to practice what they preach, and that is most
Yes.
important. And secondly, I have two requests for all the parents for the mental health of their child. Please continuously don't discuss COVID death rates and COVID diseases and whose uncle died and whose uncle is on the ventilator continuously in front of their children, because they may not react, but it scares them. It kind of creates a sort of a negative repercussions which keeps them up late in the night, doesn't let their thought process go in the positive direction. They are so worried that they don't want to step out, and they're on the borderline depression state where they're continuously thinking. So even if you think your child is not talking about it, but that listening of this nonsense continuously will really have long-term repercussions on your child. Things like post-traumatic stress disorders have been seen in children in the West, where it's only been COVID everywhere. So even if you're scared, please, put up a brave front in front of your child. Make sure that you're not continuously just turning on news about COVID and discussing that. But discuss it in your room with your wife. But don't involve the children too much. Don't scare them. Give them adequate
Right.
information so they're aware. give them adequate information so they don't kind of flaunt the social restriction norms, but give them enough rest, positive attitude that we are going to get over this as a family, as a country. We are going to be
Right.
okay soon. Good times are going to come back again. And from that mindset, make the day extremely constructive. Have a schedule, make a regular plan of action Monday to Friday, make a plan of action for every Saturday, Sunday. Take your games out, take your carom boards out, have fun with your child, befriend your child, spend time with your child, and you will be surprised that you will suddenly forget your friends because your kids are amazing to hang out with. And they will have that additional love for you and respect for you again. So if the day is structured well, where the day starts and where the day ends, the child does not have time to think negative, to brew those thoughts of fears and insecurities, which really impact their long-term mental health.
Yes, that's another very big point which I think we should address this here on this platform so that many can take back these messages. Now, when you spoke about the micronutrient role in immunity, I just
Right,
wanted you to throw some light on this factor that many times we look at immunity as a short term goal.
right, right,
We have our actions which are very short time bound. We think we will
right,
start the supplements and we will be gaining our strength of fighting the infection within a month's time, which I
right.
think this is the right time for you to debunk this myth also, that it
Sure.
takes years to develop this and you need to
Correct.
start at an early stage with the
Right.
micronutrients especially. So
Yeah.
if
Having
it
a
is
good, yeah, having,
yeah.
see, nutrition and everything, micronutrition and age appropriate intake of proper vitamins, consulting a nutritionist or a pediatrician is extremely important. See, as a culture, Eastern culture are not very proactive and preventive. What I mean Eastern is India,
Yeah, they're
Asia,
not
Southeast
preventive.
Asia. We're not preventive. वो होएगा तब देखेंगे ना अभी कितना
होगा
दवाई
तो
देने का.
देखेंगे. Exactly,
So,
that is the
but
attitude.
so the problem is that when it hogas, you're already too late. So then to
Yes.
see and to do anything, अरे my child got fever today. I started zinc and vitamin C. अरे, right now you
Yes.
started. There is no point.
So
My child has severe stomach infection, so I started boiling the water from today. I said, "Arey, now what is the point?" So what people need to do is health, hygiene, micronutrition, proper diet is a long-term thing. Is a thing where it speaks about the wholesome growth of your child. Micronutrients are extremely important for immunity, are extremely important for the physical growth of your child, mental growth of your child, and even the look and feel of your child. So, from the
right.
quality of hair to the quality of nails to everything is dependent on nutrition. So, parents should take an additional effort. I'm not saying you talk to your nutritionist or a pediatrician every day. No, every 6 months. See, the other thing I want to address is people don't practice well child care. They only go to the doctor or pediatrician when the child is sick. Once in 6 months to once in a year, I would request every parent, once things get better, talk to your pediatrician, your family doctor, or your nutritionist, not just for sickness. Okay, doc, now my kid is 3 years old. What should the diet be? He has no sickness. I just want to spend time. Now, when it
Yeah,
comes to
teaching
that,
the
they all talk.
foundation is important. The right
Right,
foundation.
right,
That's what.
right, right. So they don't
All right.
listen, they don't go to the doctors then. They only go when
Right.
they're sick. So they should make that additional effort and talk to people, the right people.
Complete. Complete. Now, what we are hearing since a couple of months about the second wave of COVID-19 and how kids are getting more affected. How true is that? And if it is true, why has it affected the kids more this time?
It's extremely, extremely true. We were very sort of lucky in the first wave as pediatricians where we could take a back seat and relax, keep learning, keep helping adult patients. But for children, we were not worried at all because the maximum state that they were in is a carrier state where they could infect other people, but they were themselves not showing symptoms. In the second wave, because of two reasons, in December, Jan, everybody got lax, everybody put down their masks, everybody traveled, went for parties, went for birthdays, went for weddings, went had play dates with their children and everything. And unfortunately, that is the exact time when the virus mutated. So the new mutated strain, that is a B1617, which is the new double mutant strain, is become so rampant and is so aggressive that it started infecting children, giving them the full-fledged COVID disease. Now, by saying this, I don't want to scare all the parents, because last 2 months we've been seeing excessive amount of kids with COVID suffering from COVID. Luckily, still it is behaving like a regular viral. Kids are recovering very well in 3 to 5 days. Very few of them require drips. None of them require, at least my patient and patients of my colleagues' database, none of them have required admissions in hospital also. In kids, you don't need to measure the constant saturation because it doesn't impact the lung as much as it does in adults. In kids, you don't need the HRCT scan to check for pneumonias, COVID pneumonias in the lungs. Those things are not. COVID in kids is very different from COVID in adults. Luckily for us, it is still behaving like a regular viral, where it comes with any and every symptom starting from head to toe. 60 to 80% of the kids with COVID present with high-grade fever and chills, body aches, headaches, earaches, scratchy, itchy throats, red eyes, loose motions, cramps, vomiting, and coughing. These are the commonest symptoms that we are seeing all kids with COVID with. So what we advise is, don't panic. For the first 2 days, treat your child at home with fever medicines. Don't jump the gun. Don't become doctors like you have for yourself. Don't self-medicate children. COVID is very different in kids and adults, so your medicines will do more harm than good to the child's health. Talk to your doctor immediately. Inform him or her that my child has fever. The doctor is going to tell you 2 things. Wait for 2 days. Give paracetamol, give fever medicines. If the fever doesn't go in 48 hours, go see your pediatrician. We'll examine the child, because for us it's very difficult to see the child on a video conference call. They don't open mouths. We can't put their hand on the tummy. And by now we have enough expertise to see like this. The minute the child enters our clinic, we know that this child looks like COVID. So we have enough expertise with that. So we may run some basic tests to see the extent of the virus, to rule out other causes of fever. But overall, in 3 to 5 days of medications, kids are doing phenomenally well. But the only advice I would give every parent today, that if today your child has fever more than 100, everybody in the house immediately wear masks. Immediately. Because they may get out in 5 days, but if they land up giving you the infection, you may reach the hospital. Especially people more than 55, 60, mask up immediately. If your child is about 10 years of age, try and isolate the child in a separate room. If your child is between 3 and 10 years of age, let one parent take responsibility of the child and wear mask at all times and take care of the child. If less than 3 years of age, it's unfortunate, but the mother is the only person the child responds to. So she needs to wear a double mask at all times and take care of the child in a separate room as much as possible. 10 days from the start of the symptoms, the child is potentially infectious to all parents and people in the family. So try and put your guard up, mask up for 10 days from the time your child has fever. Please don't take fever lightly in this situation.
All right. That's what my second question was, that the classical signs and symptoms are actually fever, chills, pains, earache, and cough. That is what the classical symptoms are.
It's a multi-systemic virus. Yeah. No, it's a little different. It's a multi-systemic disease in children. I mean, it affects anything and everything. In adults, it is, the physicians are able to narrow it down to a particular pattern. In kids, it's still anything and everything, but we still tell parents not to panic till there's no fever. Even though there is fever, don't panic. We are there for you. We've not seen any major complications in children so far.
So you just spoke about this multi-system inflammatory syndrome. I have been hearing this a lot. Can you just explain
MISC.
Yeah, MISC.
So MISC is a multi-inflammatory syndrome. One second. Multi-inflammatory systemic syndrome, where multi-systemic inflammatory syndrome. So it's MISC. So basically what happens is, in MISC, you have, like the word says, it's multi-systemic. So anything from head to toe gets involved. Now MISC per se is not a representation of the viremia. It is not the damage caused by the virus. Once the virus enters your body responds to the virus. In the multisystemic inflammatory syndrome, that response of the body to the virus with cytokines or antibodies goes up with a surge. And these antibodies and these cytokines even after the virus has left the body, start damaging every aspect of the child's body. Hence the name multisystemic inflammatory syndrome.
This is
It
what I have.
starts,
Yeah.
correct, it starts from blood vessels where the blood starts clotting, damaging the blood vessels, the heart. It starts causing small pneumonias, it starts hampering the kidney functions. So it is overall, the child goes into a hypovolemic shock, hypotensive shock. So it's a very sick looking child. Let me just first say that this multisystemic inflammatory syndrome is very, very, very rare in children so far. So when a parent reads about it in the newspaper, please don't panic. Please don't panic, because we are not seeing it that common. So if your child gets detected with COVID also, don't think of MISC first. Don't think of the multisystemic inflammatory syndrome first, because it's a very rare phenomenon. The only thing is, be aware of it. So just in case it happens, your pediatrician knows. You rush that child to the pediatrician. Your pediatrician knows what to do with that child. It is a sudden deterioration of the child's health. Sudden deterioration from the 7th day to up to 3 to 4 weeks of the disease. It is a sudden deterioration. So suddenly your child will look much sicker than what he was 2 days ago. Suddenly your child starts behaving odd. Your child has zero energy, has collapsed, is lethargic. Suddenly the cramps in the stomach have gone berserk and the loose motions have started and the vomiting has started. He's giddy, she's drowsy. You can feel the cold, clammy extremities. There's a lot of rash on the body, or there is swelling of the fingers, the eyes. Then you know that something is wrong. So don't try and self-diagnose. Your doctor is aware of it. He or she will tell you that, let's take precautions, but watch for these symptoms. So multisystemic inflammatory syndrome is a terrible thing to have. Children do recover, but require intensive care setup and specific medications. But it is the parent's job to look out for sudden deterioration of health. Now, there is no other indication in form of blood tests which you can do. If I do this blood test, I will know that my child is going to MISC. No, there is no specific blood test. Just because my child has a more severe COVID, he or she will get MISC. No, there is no correlation. So it is impossible to predict in any child which child is heading for MISC. So all you need to do is remember that it's very, very, very rare. And number two, just in case there is a sudden deterioration of your child's health, talk to your doctor immediately.
Okay. All right. So now, doctor, second thing which I just got to know, one of the questions was there, and it's very interesting to know, is how do you breastfeed a kid if the kid has got COVID-19?
Sure.
A child maybe less than 2 years old. So
Yeah.
is
You should breastfeed.
breastfeeding advisable or not advisable?
Absolutely. So
And if the
irrespective,
mother has acquired, then
so
still?
we'll talk about both aspects. Even if the mother has mild symptoms, is positive for COVID, is not sick enough to go to the hospital, she can wear a double mask and breastfeed her child. If the child has COVID and the mother is still okay, the mother can wear a double mask and breastfeed just to prevent the child infecting her. So breastfeeding should not stop,
There
because
is no
even
transmission of the virus through feeding.
no, only transmission of antibodies. So it's a good thing. So continue breastfeeding.
All right, all right. Now, second thing, I had one more query was about now we know that we should be containing the kids at home. We should not expose them outside. But there are some kids who are into competitive sports. The before the lockdown started in Maharashtra, the competitions were going on, the training was going on. So after the lockdown gets over, can they go back to the training? And if they go back, what precautions should they take for the competitive athletes, kids?
We don't know where this is headed. Let's play it by the year. I'm sure the government of Maharashtra will come out with sensible guidelines. But right now, this should not be even in your head. This is an absolute, please don't think of all this, just stay at home. Right now, all this is absolutely a moot point. Competitive sports and everything, we have our entire lives to do all this.
Going on in the month of
Doesn't make it.
and I have seen
It doesn't.
going full on. So
It
that's why
doesn't
I
make a
want a very
difference.
strong message from your end about this.
Stay at home, as strong as it gets. Do not get out of your house for the next 10 days. Later, ka we'll see
Sure,
when things open
I
up.
hope people have heard it loud and clear about this. And
Yeah.
okay, now you have spoken about the protocol to be followed when they are positive, COVID positive. So about the under 3 years old, 3 to 10 years old, and about 10 years old. So that we have already covered. Uh, about the vaccination, what are your inputs there for kids?
So my inputs are very, very strong. Right now, I would request every parent. Government is opening up for adults above 18 immunization post May. Please, please, please go take the vaccine. There are side effects, very mild, but it will save your life. There is a 70 to 75% protection rate after 2 weeks of the second vaccine, which is good enough for our country, for our infrastructure. But people don't realize there's a near 100% guarantee that if you take two vaccines and you're done with 2 weeks after the second dose, 100% guarantee that you will not reach the ICU. There's a 100% guarantee that your disease, even if you get after 2 doses of the vaccine, is not going to be severe enough to put you on a ventilator or in a hospital with 10 to 12 liters of oxygen. Even if you've taken 2 doses of the vaccine and you pass 2 weeks, you may get the virus. How can a vaccine prevent the virus from entering someone's body? It's not possible. But the vaccine has kept your immunity at such an alert that even if the virus enters your body can handle it in a matter of days. With few days of rest, with few pills here and there, you will be recovering at home with your family. Save yourself. Be there for your children when they grow up. If there's that much love and care for your child, go out and get the vaccine post 1st May if the government permits your age group to take. Don't do ifs, don't do buts, don't do Covishield, Covaxin, ye nahi, wo nahi. I'll wait for Sputnik, I'll wait for Pfizer. You will not have the time to wait. There is no time to wait. I have friends of 35 and 40 who are in hospitals suffering and looking for ventilators, and remdesivirs and tocilizumab is not a joke. Please don't try and outsmart the virus. It has outsmarted us 4 times already. It is mutating, it is changing, and you are not a man or a woman of steel who can walk out and say, "Arey, mere ko kuch nahi hoega." Absolutely. Even if you are careless with your wife, with your own life, don't be careless with other people's life. Don't be careless with your wife's life. Don't be careless with your children's life and your grandparents' life. Because even if you suffer, you may land up transmitting the virus to them and infecting them. And eventually, if you are not there around, what is the point of all this? So please, I request every adult to go take the vaccine as soon as possible and spread the word. There are adverse effects, bear with it for a few days. It's not a big deal, but the good side to it is huge and massive. When it comes to vaccines in children, it will still take some time. There are studies going on, phase 3 for Moderna and for Pfizer and BioNTech is phase 3 from 10 years onwards. Moderna is, I think, in phase 1 for basically 6 months and above. But it will take a year for all our children, the younger lot, post 1 year, post 6 months to get their jab. But it's in process. It's in process.
What about kids about 12 years? Do you see any possibility
Yeah.
of their vaccine
Next,
coming out soon?
my gut feeling is in the next 6 months, 4 to 6 months, they will open up for kids about 12. Right now, 16 to 18. It's 18 right now, post 1st May. I think they will bring it down to 12, post 12 in 6 months' time. And in a year's time, kids above 6 months to 1 year should get it, yes.
Oh. So we will end at this positive note from your end about the vaccination. We have some bright 2022, hopefully, where we can, yeah.
So
So
if you want, okay, my last point is if you want a bright 2022, no, take the vaccine. You can't have it both ways. वैक्सीन भी नहीं लेना है और बाहर घूमने भी जाना है, ट्रैवल भी करना है, सब कुछ करना है लेकिन वैक्सीन नहीं लेना है. Then you won't have a bright 2022. If you want a bright 2022, go take the vaccine.
plus one from my end completely on this. And if you could give us few guidelines as to how can we develop a strong shield for future for our kids against any other virus. See, now viral infections are going to happen. We cannot escape it completely. But what can we do to reduce the severity of it other than the nutrition? Anything, any more guidelines you want to give? Why am
So
I asking you this
nutrition,
question is
yeah.
because, oh, yeah, is that because I have a very strong opinion here about that we sometimes we are looking at a very high hygiene standards for very young kids, and I think it's very important to in fact expose them to a little bit of dust and dirt here and there to develop that the fighting capacity inside. What are your views on this?
So when this topic comes up, now we have a very classical story that we tell every paranoid parent of ours. We have parents who we have heard in the past bathe their children with Bisleri as well. So when we see parents like this, we tell them, there is this little beggar lady outside at the signal who has four beggar children. One she's breastfeeding, one is running around 2 year old, one is 10 years old, one is 6 years old. None of them have ever taken a single vaccine. They are getting wet in the rain, whether it's heat, whether it's sun, they never fall sick. This is because God has made an immune system which helps them, which protects them. The best immunity that a child can get from the mother is breastfeeding. So we are strong advocates of breastfeeding. When the child passes the breastfeeding age, it's the nutrition, number one. The vaccines against preventable disease, number two. And adequate, decent exposure so that your child doesn't grow up in a bubble. Because if your child grows up in a bubble, one fine day he or she steps out and gets attacked by a lethal virus or an infection, the child will have nothing against that you provided. So be sensible parents. Let your child grow on their own. Be there for them. Be a supportive structure, not a very constructive structure for your child.
Okay, doctor, before you leave, I have just few questions if you can address those. So there
Sure.
is one question which is that can you take kids for the regular vaccinations during this time,
You
or should
should.
they?
Absolutely. Please don't miss a single vaccine. Because
Okay.
remember, even if COVID comes and brings down your child's immunity, if you're not vaccinated your child against the other diseases, they will grow and cause more problem than COVID itself. So don't
Okay.
step away from regular vaccines. Please go get them.
Okay, now one more question is here. My son is 4.5 years. I give him A to Z multivitamin 5 ml. He is 12 to 13 kgs. Is that okay? So is she's asking is A to Z multivitamin 5 ml fine for 12 to
But
13
yeah,
kgs?
I think that's a fine dose, but I think let's stay away from prescriptions because I'm sure your pediatrician knows best. But a good multivitamin A to Z I've heard of is very good. We use it often. 5 ml once a day for a child of that age should be good enough.
For kids, what is the best vitamin and zinc? Maybe they're asking about the other companies. I don't know if you would want to
Yeah.
answer.
So just talk to your pediatricians. So basically make
Sure.
sure there's a good overall coverage of vitamin D, zinc and vitamin C. Your pediatricians are there to help you.
Okay, a 3-year-old would need vitamin C. Again, I think it is the the
Yeah.
child's pediatrician to decide that if needed.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Under
Okay.
about 3 years, 4 years, you can start vitamin C. But under 2 to 3 years, vitamin D is extremely protective.
Okay. So many in our family have got into infected within a week of getting the second shot. After getting the second shot of vaccination, they got infected. Do you think this is because of low immunity?
Absolutely not. This is because unfortunately the virus was picked up when they went for the second vaccine or much later. But the fact that they're all recovering well at home means the vaccine is working. Vaccine
Okay,
doesn't
another
never there is a misunderstanding that I want to address too, that people think that after I take the vaccine there will be a dip in my immunity. Absolutely nothing of that kind. Absolutely nothing. It's just unfortunate.
all right. Now, after we finish the 2 doses of vaccination this year, do we need to go for a booster dose next year?
Array, first please take two. Then we'll talk about the third and fourth next. Yes, there may be a yearly shot after the
Huh.
two, like is there in the flu shot influenza right now. But please first take the 2. Let's worry about next year later. First, let's get our country in the herd immunity phase. We need 60% of our country immunized for herd immunity. We are currently at 2 to 3%. So let's bring those numbers up first.
We are very, I know we have a very long
Yes.
time to do that first.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so most of the questions are about the supplements only.
Right.
So we will not address those, like you said. Can child do cycling? Just a minute. For with proper mask and one parent proper mask, no one is below the society. Like basically, they're asking during this phase, can he go for cycling?
Yeah. So you make sure the mask covers the nose and the mouth, but sometimes if the mask is too restrictive and the child is breathless, it will further hamper the problem. So if make sure there's nobody around, you can go, but be sensible, be practical. I think everybody is very well aware now. So your child can go down, you can go down. But to try and find that time when nobody else is around and there's no other child playing is very difficult. But if you can manage that and you know for sure, why not? Yes.
Okay. There's another question which I don't know if you would want to address. There's this, my 10-year-old child has fever since yesterday. What medication should I start? So do you think she should be going to the pediatrician right now, or she should wait and just give paracetamol?
You can wait for 2 days. If the fever stays beyond 48 hours, go to your pediatrician. But as of now, give paracetamol doses to bring down the fever. But everybody mask up at home immediately. If your child is about 10 years of age, you can put that child in a separate room. I'm sure he or she can take care of herself for a few days.
Second dose after 4 weeks is good, or now they are propagating 6 to 9 weeks? What are your views?
Covishield research has shown, Covishield research has shown that 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But Covaxin is still 4 weeks. But my thought process here is the delay of 2 weeks. If there is irregularities in stock, hoega, nahi hoega. Now things are opening up for younger kids. Those things. Sorry, 1 second. Huh? Can you see me now? Yeah. So all those things. Can you see me?
No, I can't see it.
Okay, 1 second. Hold. Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
No, you will have to send me a request again. I'll add you back.
Okay. Do you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's okay.
Let's finish few questions and yeah. So what I'm saying is, if there is a possibility, stock vaccine hoega, nahi hoega, then just finish it at 4 to 5 weeks. Don't wait too much. If you're getting it, take it. But yes, correct. The information is right that Covishield is known to show more advantages 6 weeks gap. Covaxin is still strong recommendation of 4 weeks.
Okay. All right, doctor. I think we have addressed most of the questions. Yeah. Thank you once again for removing your valuable time on a Sunday. That your family.
No problem.
But I think all the viewers must have got most of their queries, attended to, and there will be less confusion and more belief after this session. And I hope we have got some good messages to take back home.
I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to spread the word, because I'm really insisting on people taking the vaccine. I really want to convey the message, and please don't worry about your children. Your pediatrician is well aware. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank my wife for being supportive to give Sunday time. So thank you. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.